Thank you. You're the best. So a lot of the times we get worried about our financial situation because we're so caught up in the worry cycle, right? We think, oh my God, how am I going to pay my bills? How am I going to sustain living? How am I going to, how? How am I going to have the money to do the things that I want and also cover my needs? And then you realize money is a renewable resource. No one can ever take away my creative ability to make more money, right? And I think until we really understand that, that will help us with creating financial abundance and success in our lives. Because a lot of the times, since we are learning through your wishes, your command, you are what you think about most of the time. You get what you think about most of the time. So if most of the time you're worried and stressed about money, but you're going to get more worry and more stress. But until you actually realize how much power you have as a creator, as a human being, as a someone who can speak life, someone who can use their words to really create in their life, then you begin to use that power accordingly. And instead of, self-sabotaging, because that's really what worrying is, you create life and vitality and experiences that you can share with others, because it never really is about ourselves. It's about how we serve the collective, right? So I'm so happy for you again, Anton. Congratulations. That's a really, really big accomplishment. I was so excited when I actually upgraded from associate to level one. I'm actually doing the level five payment plan because for me, I listened to Your Wishes, Your Command maybe 2 years prior to actually joining Jin. And I didn't even know that it was still active because it was some audios I was listening to free on YouTube. And then I'd like the way that I found it was really the universe working in my favor. And then eventually I stopped listening and I found it. I was trying to find it again, but they took it off of YouTube. So I started researching. I was like, what was this guy's name again? Kevin Trudeau. So I started researching and he was doing his YouTube show. And I actually saw the YouTube show at the time when the associate level was only like $8. And I was like, this thing $8. I was like, I don't even got $8, honestly. So I can't join right now. And then it went up to $18. I was like, crap, I should have got it when it was $8. Now I gotta pay $20 a month. And I was like, you know what? Before it goes up again or something, I'm really liking what I'm hearing. I've experienced manifesting for myself, like firsthand, and what I've created. So I know it works. And I was like, what am I going to lose? If anything, I cancel. Right? Whatever. So the other thing that really got me was the free cruise also and the free event ticket. I was like, I've always wanted to go on a cruise. I love traveling. I love meeting new people. Let's try it. So I get my associate level and then I signed up for the first event, which is family reunion. And it was in Chicago, which it was probably like a 3-hour flight where I'm at in New York. And I go to this event. I'm really excited because, I'm like, I was able to go to virtual chapter meetings. I went to a whole bunch of virtual chapter meetings. I was like, anyone I'm available for, I'm signing up. And, just listening to the way other gym members are so supportive and encouraging, and they share so much love for each other, and they always want to celebrate your wins with you. I was like, yes, I'm right at home. This is the type of people I've been looking for. And I get to family reunion, and then it's like that times 10, and everyone I'm meeting is like, oh my God, welcome to the club. Like, just so loving and kind. And I don't know if you guys ever been to like a festival. Like, I like EDM music, like electro dance music and stuff like that. But that's the kind of energy it gave me. But nobody was on drugs. Nobody was listening to crazy music. Nobody was dancing. That was just who they were, right? They were just so loving and welcoming. And I was like, this is my place. And I went through that entire weekend just soaking everything in, from the speakers, the food, the dancing. I think every single night while I was there, I stayed up till like 5 o'clock in the morning, woke up at 7 for the workout with Stefan. And if you guys become a member, you'll get to know who he is. And I was just on a joy high, no pun intended joy. Like I was just living the dream and had such a great time that by the end of the weekend came and there was this opportunity to go from an associate member to a level 5 member and all the things that were included. Like I saw the value. I really saw the value. And I was like, you know what? I had made a prior commitment maybe like 3 months ago to actually start saving for level 1 because I had finished the associate training in like, I don't know, a month. Like it was like done like that. And I was like, damn, that's it. Like I want more. And then when I got to family reunion, I finally hit my savings goal of to pay for the membership upgrade. And since it was like perfect timing because I knowing myself, I probably would have found some excuse to spend that money in another area of my life. That I got to family reunion and I had the money, and then this opportunity was offered to me to pay all the way from an associate member to level 5. I was like, I don't know what the universe has planned for me, but I'm doing it. I put the down payment on the like on the upgrade, and I also bought my ticket for Miami, which was the following event. They do events, I think, 4 times a year, major events, and ever since then, I've just every single month there's just like a laundry list of just accomplishment, goal, like everything just check, 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 and it's kind of insane if I look at my life from the where I was 5 years ago to who I am today, and just knowing how much impact the training has had in my life, and knowing what I know now, like I really went from the level of unconscious incompetence of like I didn't even know this stuff existed, to like, okay, now I know that it exists and I need to learn it, till me practicing it over and over and over and over and over. And I told you guys, I think our last meeting, that I finally feel like I'm at the point of mastery. Like I can recall the training and these basics and really notice them in every area of my life and just feel so comfortable relying on them and knowing that no matter what it is that I want to create in my life, it's done. Once I make that decision, it's mine. And it is such a relieving feeling, and I pray that each and every one of you that are here and each and every person watching the recording, that you can honestly say that for yourself at some point in time, and that you truly realize the power that you hold, because you are powerful. And if I can do it, and if Kevin can do it, and if every other gym member or other successful person out there that exists can do it, you can do it too, 100%. Yes, you can do it. So thank you guys so much for being here, of course. I want to just go over any questions, or if there's a specific concept that you want to talk about first, let's do it. How are you guys feeling? I think we're all the way up to audio 10 already. I think there's only like, what, 4 or 5 more? Because I also wanted to listen to the 10 steps to manifesting, which will be after your wish is your command. So Antoine, Joy, Dominique, how are you guys feeling about the training so far?
Okay, I'll go first then. I was gonna say, I'm so far, I've just been so just like my whole way of thinking ever since I've been like just listening to them. And I'm on lesson 11, but I replayed lesson 10 today so that way I can just like, make sure I know everything. But it's just sticking with me. I just been practicing it as well, just like my way of thinking and everything. Cause that was my biggest problem. So it's just so like I just be thinking like just saying thank you every day because it's just like what now I know like it's just exciting to even know. It's like once you know you can't turn back. You know better, so do better. So I just love it, like, and it's so informative. So I just been writing down everything, and I wanted us to talk about too was the second one when he said focus on the use of the law of attraction, which is like it's just like I know it's like I just wanted to get like a like more opinions and stuff about it. So that's why I was like, I'll ask about that because I wrote it down and I got everything down, but I just wanted to hear more about it.
So let me hear your question one more time. You want to know more about the law of attraction in general, like as a law?
No, like when he put, yeah, like when he said like focus on it, like the use of it, like like what you want, focus on what you want, and use the law of attraction as well. Like with the use of what you want, like our list of things that we want and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So I was just like, just one like advice on like a way to go about it. I'll say a
Mm-hmm.
right way to like say it.
Yeah. Okay. So a couple of things, right? For those of you who probably are never heard of the law of attraction.
Yeah.
Number one, the law of attraction is, the way he explains it, a universal law, meaning you don't have to believe in it to for it to work. It just is, right? And
Mm.
it's compared to the law of gravity. So, you can say you don't believe in the law of gravity, but good luck finding someone that will walk off the roof of a 60-foot story building and float, and it's just never been recorded in history.
Yeah.
Um, and then it's like, but if we have the law of gravity, how are airplanes able to fly, and birds, and any other thing that can be in the sky? He then talks about the universal law of lift. So scientists have been able to prove the law of lift, which is how we were able to build airplanes. And I know because I actually studied to become a pilot. The law of lift is still debated on like how it actually works, but there's two different theories that are mainly highlighted. And basically, even though the law of gravity exists, the law of lift supersedes, meaning that it's you could basically supersedes, like it's more powerful, or um, it's a greater law than the law of gravity. So the law of attraction, matter of fact, let's do this since I'm on my phone. Let's look up the word attraction and let's look up the etymology. Joy knows this is like my thing now. So the attraction or power of evoking interest, pleasure, or liking for something or someone, right? A quality or feature that evokes interest, liking, or desire. That's a good word right there. The law of desire. Okay. A place which draws visitors, providing something of interest or pleasure. A force under the influence of which objects tend to move towards. Okay. A force under the influence of which objects tend to move toward each other, right? So gravitational attraction. So attraction is a late Middle English word, and denoting the action of a poultice in drawing matter from the tissues. And then the traction, it says to see another word. Google, that was not helpful at all. But I do like the definitions that it gave. Let's see, attraction, etymology. Ah, so far we have attraction related to desire, and attraction related to like a force that is drawn towards, right?
Mm.
Etymology. Okay. So attracto and attract. It's still saying this. See attract. Right, because it's the action form. Okay. So attract means to draw near or to draw to, right? So if we think about whatever our brains as the transmitter and receiver of frequency, at all times it's doing this, whether you believe it or not. And you are putting out a frequency. There is a law at work that will naturally draw to you every single thing that you put out. And when you think, thoughts become actual things. They become actual physical matter. And depending on how persistent and consistent you are with a specific thought, will influence how rapidly or how vividly this matter forms in your current existence and reality. So let's say you are focused on attracting a specific car that you really want to buy. For example, my boyfriend wanted to own a Tesla so freaking badly. And he will always watch videos on YouTube. So he was thinking about, I want to own a Tesla all the time, right? He put it on a vision board and everything. So what was the first way he was attracting it? He didn't actually he believe he could own it, but he would watch videos of Teslas all the time on YouTube. So that was like this first level of attraction. His belief and desire were not balanced yet. So he didn't really believe he could get it, but his desire for it was high. So he was able to see it in video form, right? So that's matter. And then of course, the other way that works is, let's say you're driving in the current car you own, or even walking outside, and then you see a bunch of Teslas just passing you or parked on the street. That's the next form. Like, okay, I see that other people own them. I see that they're within my area. So his belief slowly increased. So then a couple of months later went by and we went to visit my uncle. My uncle had a Tesla. Lo and behold, there's a Tesla sitting in my uncle's driveway, and he's like, "What? You have a Tesla?" He's like, I'm like bugging out about it. Like, I need to get one." And he's like, my uncle's like, "Do you want to drive it?" He's like, "What? I can drive it." So he gets in the car and he goes and he's like, he lets him, like, hit the gas, and well, not hit the acceleration is not really gas. And he did like the 0 to 60 in like 2 seconds, and he was obsessed. So his belief and desire is still here. His belief went like this. And it because he didn't own the car yet, but he was able to drive it. So he was like, okay, I think I can have this thing. So now, what you're going to learn a little bit more about this in the 10 steps to manifesting. But in order to truly get anything that you're trying to attract, you have to release attachment. You have to be willing to understand that whether or not I get this thing, I'm still going to be okay. And if I get it, great. If I don't, great. Right? Releasing attachment. When we desire things, is a much different energy from wanting things. Because want is coming from a place of lack. It's coming from a place of needing. And it's like, I don't have this, I want this, I need this. And it's just the energy, the frequency you're putting out is that you don't have it. So because that's what you're putting out, that's what you're going to attract back. So we were having a conversation, my boyfriend and I, back to the story. And he said, yeah, I don't think I'm going to get the Tesla because I want to make a certain amount of money before I actually try and get it. And I'm like, really? You don't want it no more? He's like, yeah, I don't think my finances is going to work out for me to get it anytime soon. So, if I have to wait a couple of years, it's fine. The 2 days later, we are talking with his brother, and his brother's like, yo, I heard you can get TLC plates if you buy a Tesla, and it's like, you can save on insurance, we could rent it out, make money. And he's like, what, you want to buy a Tesla? So he goes on his phone looking for Teslas on his phone, like, now to buy them on the dealership. He's no longer on YouTube, he's on the dealership website looking for Teslas for sale. And then within a week, he owns a Tesla. Within a week, like that. From him saying, yeah, I think I'm gonna wait, it's not working out right now, I don't really see how it's possible, to a week later he owns a Tesla. Just like that. And it's because he was constantly focusing on, I want a Tesla, I want a Tesla, I want a better car, I deserve better for myself. Like, all these thoughts that he kept forming in his mind that attracted what he wanted into his current reality. And a lot of the times, we think the law of attraction is supposed to happen fast. We think it's supposed to happen, oh, because I said so, that's it, it appears. But it is a process depending on your desire to belief ratio. If you desire something very, very much, but you don't believe you could get it at all, then you're putting out this frequency of wanting, this frequency of lack, this frequency of I need it. But until you believe and you desire, that's when whatever you're trying to attract will come into your existence like that. So Joy put in the chat here, not to be religious, but it shows up in the Bible as the Lord is my shepherd and I shall not want. Psalms 23:1. I love that. Do you want to share a little bit more about that, Joy?
Yeah. I was just thinking about that when you were talking about the frequency of wanting and how it's different from desire, and how to be in the frequency of wanting, it's really giving a frequency of lack. But if you trust in source above all things, you know that in every moment that you're breathing, you have everything that you actually need in that moment, because you're only going to be given what it is that you can handle on a frequency level. So if it's not showing up, come on now, source. If it's not showing up in your reality right now, it's not a punishment. It's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just it's like a signal in a way that, okay, although I may desire this thing, there's work that needs to be done for me to be able to embody it on a frequency level. And once I embody it on a frequency level, it will show up in my reality.
Thank you for sharing. And I want to kind of add to that. You know, if the law of attraction worked like a microwave, meaning like as soon as you thought it, it was done, there would be a lot of a disaster around every corner because a lot of people do worry thinking, lack thinking, frustration thinking, anger thinking. And do people live those lives? Yeah, but it's not the type of life that we actually want. So those thoughts, even though we do send them out, um they don't, thank God, they don't manifest immediately, right? There is a bit of delay because if you really think about the way this works and you think about how there are billions of people alive on this planet right now at the same time we are alive, and all these individual people are putting out frequencies and thoughts and desires that they are trying to attract in their life, that's a lot of different circumstances that need to go on in order for them to get what they want. And that's why, sometimes crazy things happen or coincidences happen, or, there it feels like there's just this unexplained force that it's like, how is this happening? And it's because there's so many different desires that are being put out and transmitted that they all kind of need to work simultaneously for everybody to truly get what they desire. And there's another scripture as well that, well, really it says the heart is deceitful of all things, something like that, right? Joy, correct me if I'm wrong. But sometimes what we truly desire within our soul is very different from what we're thinking. And even though we are putting out thoughts and those are the frequencies that we are trying to transmit, really the power of how you feel about those thoughts is what you attract to you. And if you're someone who feels negative, who feels angry, who feels frustrated majority of the time, you're going to create more circumstances, events, and attract people who will give you that same feeling. So even though, yes, you can attract actual physical things, you want to kind of focus on attracting a feeling. And whatever feeling you put out, majority of the time, is the feeling that you will continue to create and attract into your life. So she said, yes, the waiting in the 3D reality is such an important safeguard. Yes, yes. Because if not, I would have died like 20 times. um, it says, the heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. Who can know it? Jeremiah 17:9. That's a, I always hear the pastor say that one whenever I go to church. He loves that one. I don't know why. But Dominique, did I kind of cover your question, or did more questions come up for you?
No, yes, you helped. Yes, that was like everything in one because I thought I had more, but no, that was like everything in one. So now I'm like, okay, okay. Like I'm just over here smiling, like, yes.
Okay.
Amen. Amen.
Good to hear. I'm glad. Well,
Yeah.
how about anybody else? How are you guys feeling about the training so far? Or if, any questions came up for you while we were talking about the law of attraction?
Um, It really wasn't so much a question that came up, but it made me think about how, I don't know that if he said this or if it was just something I thought about, how even if you don't look at it from a spiritual perspective, it also shows up scientifically, like the reticular activating system in the brain is instrumental in transmitting those images into a frequency that will align those frequencies into what we see in our reality. So the whole thing about the Teslas, for example, if you're thinking about them all the time, and then all of a sudden you might start seeing more and more Teslas out on the road, and it's really because your brain is starting to be, wiring itself to transmit that frequency, therefore attracting that frequency unto you. So for anyone who's like, I only want to trust the science, it's also science too.
Thank you for sharing. And another thing that came up for me as well, just thinking about the law of attraction, is that everything we currently see around us is just an accumulation of how our past thinking went, right? So let's say if you live, in a current city or town, or, even the way that you decorated your room, or the things that you brought home, or, the job that you work at, or the places that you visit on a regular basis. The only reason that you are able to experience those physical locations and physical matter, right? Because he explains, even the pencil, the flower, the car, the cat, the person, the tree, even though they look different, they're all made of energy. All the physical matter is just vibrating at a different frequency. And whatever these locations and experiences are for each of you individually, these places and experiences are just a combination of what your past thinking has been. And, that's why it can be very, very limiting to get stuck in a consistent routine, because you may convince yourself to believe, well, that's just how life is, and this is all that there is, and this is just my life, not realizing that you can change your current circumstances at every time, but you must first start with changing your thinking. And when you think new thoughts, you have to first become aware of what your current thinking habits are, and also what your current feeling habits are. Because a lot of the times we don't create our feelings. We typically feel things as a reaction to circumstances that we're put into. But once you really become aware of the fact that you can choose how you feel, you can choose the experiences that you create, you have so much more control over the circumstances that you are in. And you can also have a variety of circumstances that you experience, because now you can fine tune your thinking to really match up with anything that you desire. Whether you want to travel more, or you want to change your lifestyle and be healthier, or create more financial abundance, or create a new romantic relationship, or platonic relationship, have different friendships, or be in different groups. It really does start with your thinking. And then, of course, your thinking inevitably helps to create your self image. Whatever you think about yourself and whatever you think about others will help to influence your life very dramatically. So, thank you for sharing that, Joy. All right. Any other topics that you guys want to cover on these last couple audios? We haven't met for a while, so I know that we listened to a lot of different topics. But is there any that you guys really wanted to focus on, or had questions on for this last half of the meeting? Anybody can unmute or write it in the chat. No?
It's pretty funny. Excuse me. It's pretty funny because I have some questions in my head, and I think a little bit about it, and I have the answers. So
Look
I
at
don't
that.
have questions.
That's perfect. I know I saw you thinking earlier, like, should I ask this? How should I ask it? No, I'm glad that your question was answered. And you see, that's the beauty of masterminds, right? Of being able to be around other people and have conversations. Because what has helped me is the understanding that if we are all connected to a universal source, right? We are co-creating this experience right now. Even the people that will watch the recording in later times, they have thought specific thoughts and put out a specific frequency that has attracted this current conversation to them in their current reality. And they were asking questions in their past, or putting out specific desires in their life that was able to bring this current experience to them to receive the answers to the questions that they may have been putting out, right? Or even, your ability to have discovered your wish is your command, and discover these manifesting basics and secrets to success. You have had to put out the desire for success for a while, or maybe not even that long. Maybe, you're able to do it in a quick time. But just to be able to receive this information, do you guys realize how many people go about their day that will never know your wishes, your command exists, manifesting exists, the law of attraction exists, global information exists? They will never know because that's not the frequency that they're putting out, and they will probably never put out that frequency. But because you've been constantly putting out the thoughts that drove your experience to this point, you were always going to receive answers from other people when you communicate with other people. Even when you go to certain places and you're really observant, like one of the things I love is numerology, or I love just seeing signs of things. Like, for example, Anthony and I were driving one time, and I was literally writing. I had my notebook while he was driving, and I was writing down. I was like, okay, what do we want to do this year? Like, do we want to stay in New York or do we want to move? And then we started talking about, let's go to Florida. I swear to God, guys, like, we made a right and then a left, and then we got to the red light, and right in front of us is this giant billboard. Like, the week before, it was advertising a Greek festival in Yonkers, and then they changed it to "Your dream home awaits in Florida." I swear to God. And I just looked at him and I was just like, okay, we're going to Florida. We're going to Florida then. And like, when you really understand the power that you hold and you're putting these things out into reality all the time, you're able to pick up the signs so much easier. Even when you like overhear a conversation of like people you don't even know, but they just say that one thing that you're like, I've actually been thinking about that lately. Or you see just a certain number, or you see literally anything. It can be anything at all. But just being aware of the fact that you created that experience so you could receive something from it. And the more and more you will receive out of life. So Joy said, I'm so grateful for you in conversations like this because this is deep. And that's big generator vibes. When you have the thought and then it shows up in your reality as something to respond to, it's confirmation. Yeah. Joy, can you share more about this? Like, knowing the basics of your wishes, your command, like how would that fit into the different human design? Um, what would it be? Profiles, types? Is it
But
types?
yeah, the types. It's so
Okay.
synchronistic that you asked this question because today when I was listening, I was saying sometimes the way that he speaks, it really reminds me of generator energy, and other times when he speaks, it really reminds me of manifestor energy. And I started thinking about how each human design type could apply the principles of your wishes, your command. And then you asked this question. So, so,
Yes, putting it to action. Let's do it.
so basically, and human design is a personality and energy assessment tool that helps us with decision making, with knowing how our energetic blueprint is set up, basically the energy that we have always been before society came through with all its conditioned ideas about who and how we should be in the world. So from the conditioning standpoint, your wish is your command speaks about that in terms of there's a whole bunch of stuff stuck in your field that is preventing you from getting to the life that you desire because it's related to the story that you tell about yourself and the belief that you have about yourself and what you can manifest, what is aligned for you, and things like that. So, generator types in human design, they're designed to respond to what happens in their environment. So, just like Alyssa said, she put a frequency out there and the frequency was Florida. And then the universe came back with the corresponding frequency, letting her know, like, yes, Florida is aligned for you by showing her the billboard. If that didn't come up in her reality ever, if she would have if she would have put Florida out there and then nothing ever showed up to show her that Florida was the thing, then she could take that to mean that Florida was not the place to go. At the same time, if she saw something that said Tennessee, and Tennessee didn't feel good to her, she would also know that Tennessee wasn't the way to go. But she could have faith that the universe would show her in due time what the right aligned move is. The aligned move could have been staying in NY, you know? So that's for generator types. Generator and manifesting generators both work in the same way. So those are two different human design types. Then you have the manifester type, and manifestors are they it depends on um their strategy is to when they get a divine inspiration, they are allowed to just go ahead and move with it, but they also need to um inform what's going on in their reality, like let people know what's happening so that they don't get stuck. So the way that I see your wish is your command working with people who have manifestor energy is to clear the things out of their field. Like it's really about their power of belief because if they have a bleeped up belief system, then they won't be able to get a clear divine download. And those clear divine downloads is what tells them when to go, where to go, and how to go. So really dealing with the belief system is key for manifestors. And that's the third human design type. Then there are two more, projectors and reflectors. So projectors, they are they're not really here to work in the same way, like in the cycle of consistent output, the way that the 9 to 5, traditional workforce cycle is, but they are designed to respond to aligned invitations. But if their belief system doesn't allow them to believe that they're worth it, that they are worth waiting for, that the right aligned opportunities will show up for them, then they won't attract them. They'll attract BS, and then they'll end up feeling bitter and burnt out because they're attracting misaligned opportunities and chasing things that are not aligned for them. So again, getting into that belief system and really owning who they are is important. And the fifth human design type, they are reflectors, and reflectors are highly adaptable. They receive a lot of information from the environment. So again, if they believe things about themselves that are not true, then they're going to attract things unto them that are misaligned. They're going to attract the wrong people. And when I say wrong, it's not ever really wrong because once you realize it's misaligned, you can get yourself back on track. But it just won't feel good in the moment. And the whole idea of your wish is your command is to feel good now, right? So if they're not feeling good now because of what's happening in their reality, then that's the indicator that they're off track. So it's really about clearing out that filter, that belief system, retelling that story, not telling a lie, but telling the truth. So an example of telling the truth would be like someone, like I'll use myself as an example. I used to say, or the story I used to tell about myself was that I'm bad with money, but that is a false story. I'm not bad with money. The true story is that I was not taught the system of money growing up in my childhood. It wasn't something that was taught in my family. So if you aren't taught a skill, then how can you know the skill? I also do dance and choreography. I haven't ever once said that I'm a bad dancer just because was having a hard time learning a dance move. I just accepted that I was in the process of learning the dance move. So it's the same thing with money. Joy, you're not bad at money. You're just learning the skill. You're learning how to embody a wealth consciousness, and that doesn't make you bad at it. So retelling that story is what allows me to clear away the gunk in the filter so that I can attract what's abundantly mine. Does that answer your question, Alyssa?
Yes. Thank you for
Awesome.
sharing. So you're so knowledgeable on human design, and it just amazes me how you can just boom answer no.
Thank you. I love human design. I can talk about it all day.
Yeah, I can tell how passionate you are about it. So if you guys are not familiar with human design, I mean, I let me know if I misquote, but basically it's explained how it's an overview of the type of energetic makeup of each person. Am I right?
Yes, your unique energetic blueprint. And can I just, before you continue, I just want to also say this, like, it's such a beautiful expression of oneness in terms of of us all being a divine expression of the universal source, fragmented into all of our individual personalities. But when you put us all together, you see that we are all one. And then when you have us all apart as our individual people, you see how we're all living and experiencing life in a different way. So it really just shows you what your unique energetic expression is of your energy.
Yes, thank you for sharing. And what I loved the most about it, right, is when I got my reading from Joy, because I never heard of human design before either. And I was like, you know what? I want to support, I want to know more. And at the time when I got the reading, I was also relaunching the branding for my um health and wellness image, right? Because I was trying to figure out how I wanted to serve people and how I wanted to look from an outside perspective, and not just look like creating a false image, but what really were the values what were the type of people I wanted to attract, and what were the values that I wanted to put out to attract those people. So I began writing things like being able to be creative and being able to help empower people. And I didn't use the word empower, I used the word evolve, because I believe that we're ever changing. And I had this image of the what is the actual name of it? It's the conscious competence, that entire scale, right? Your level of knowing. So I wanted to create, like, manifesting, right, and then evolve, and then also I wanted to um not commune. There's another word for this. To congregate people, to get people together, to bring like-minded people, to bring people into unity. And I wanted to really put out opportunities for people to experience all these aspects, these values, these um energies. And then she did my human design reading maybe 2 weeks later, and verbatim, what she like she did a whole entire printout describing each part of the human design, because it basically covers the chakras of the body. So, like, the crown, the throat, the third eye, the sacral, the solar plexus, the root chakra, and all these energies can be combined in different ways, right? It could be something that's defined or undefined, and she went into all the details of what those things mean. But verbatim, like, the same words were written out in that human design report that I was writing down, in terms of, like, how did I want people to perceive what I had to offer, and this image I wanted to create that people would be able to get value from, and how I would serve people. And my mind was blown. I was utterly amazed that I was able to tap into who I was so deeply that I got that confirmation once again from the universe that yes, you're on the right path. Yes, you're doing, you know, what you were put here to do pretty much. Because I definitely have always been someone who loved to create and loved to do artistic things, but now I'm taking it to a whole different place. And that's why I did the Your Wish is Your Command Master series, because I wanted to bring people together that wanted to learn about manifesting, that wanted to learn how to improve their life, that wanted to learn how to be successful. And here we are doing it. So I definitely want to thank each and every one of you for being here and for actually coming together to have these conversations, because this is, even though this is happening right now, we're impacting so many other people without even trying. We're impacting all the people that are within our circle of influence, within our lives on a daily basis, because we are becoming different people by learning this information and by constantly uh, learning the training over and over and over, because we are making new decisions based on the new information that we've been introduced to. And when we change, we're able to influence the people that are closest to us. And it's just like a ripple effect. Not only do we influence the people that are closest to us, but we influence the new people that we meet and people that we will never truly know, because we are changing our habits, we're changing our thought patterns, we're changing the frequencies that we're putting out. And whenever we elevate ourselves, we inevitably elevate the entire planet, the entire universe, the entire human race. So even though this may seem like just another Zoom meeting or just another challenge, it's so much deeper than that. And whether or not you want to acknowledge it, just give yourself a pat on the back for doing the work, for showing up for yourself, and for improving yourself. That's right. Give yourself a nice one, because even if you don't realize it right now, 10 years from now, 15 years from now, I could promise you your life is going to be amazingly different. And it's because you were able to use this information to really create whatever you want. So, any last words before we head out today? I want to thank you guys again, just truly from the bottom of my heart, for helping me have these opportunities of just amazing conversation, because if not, I would be here sitting here talking to myself. So anything else you guys want to add before we head out?
Just much gratitude. Thank you all so much for co-creating this space. I really appreciate it and get so much value out of it every single time.
You're welcome. And Dominique put in the chat, she put it a while ago, but she said, yes, I feel the same way. Very thankful.
Yes, I'm over here just like, amen, amen. I just feel so encouraged. And yes, like I'm very thankful as well. Like I just feel like, yes, this is it. I'm here for a reason, girl.
Yes, we all are. And, don't ever forget that. Even if it's the smallest reason to just make someone else happy, to make someone else smile, to, pet a dog and make them happy. Like, it could be the smallest, most seemingly insignificant reason, but the creator wouldn't even waste his ability to make you if you weren't significant. Does that make sense? Like,
Amen, sister.
you know.
Amen.
Thank you. How about you, Antoine? How are you feeling?
I feel great. Thank you, Alisa.
You're welcome. I'm glad you were able to be here with us. So I'm gonna end it now, this meeting now. You can pause the recording, Joy. And that